Once upon a time, the most powerful, rich, and famous family in the region gave birth to a little girl, whose beauty made her jealous even the flowers at her parents' house. With blonde, golden hair, marbled, soft skin, perfectly red-shaped mouth, the little girl resembled an overhang from the deepest of the natural beauties. Her parents named her Nora. She grew up playing in the woods that surrounded her house, on the mountain of the village Polis. The little girl spent all the time hiding in the forest, talking to the trees, climbing on them, and at the end of the day she rested, breathing some fresh air, surrounded by bears, deer, squirrels, rabbits, and colored butterflies. Nora did not know much about friends or humans, but she loved animals. All the animals were named by Nora. She knew any corner of the wood, its inhabitants' full stories. Sometimes she made clothes for the animals with names on the front, so she could distinguish them from one another while playing. When the animals got hurt, Nora took them to the doctor, or took care of herself. The wood was her fortress, the mountain, her spirit. This mountain was not a common mountain like you ever read or heard about. It was green mouth-shaped with a dark, deep hole that opened when Nora spent time talking to it. A speaking mountain was her secret of secrets. No one in the village knew about this, and Nora was the only human who ever spoke with. "My friend, why don't you have legs and arms but only a mouth?" Nora asked once the mountain. The mountain smiled for a while and answered, "Because all the good and bad come from the mouth. I don't need legs or arms to see the world. The world always comes to me." The little girl did not understand the mountain, but she always enjoyed the time when the mountain confessed her stories about previous inhabitants who used to live or had climbed the mountain to fight against enemies who wanted to conquer the village. The mountain told every day a new story to the little girl, so she grew up in the soul of the mountain in a fantastic world. Early in the morning, Nora woke up happily. The sun smiled to her fresh, naked face to welcome her 18th birthday, put on the new pink dress, and went downstairs in the kitchen. Everything smelled good. The table was full of dishes waiting to be eaten. She tried the breakfast the chef had prepared, then asked for Rena, the talkative housemaid. The volcano Rena was ready to explode from the words inside while coming immediately to serve her owner. "I could not wait until you wake up." She was moving heavily. In a few seconds, Nora felt many steps were approaching. "Happy birthday, dear." Her parents came behind her with presents on their hands, linking each other. "This is just a start for your beautiful day. Open it," said the father, extending a box to Nora. She opened the box and saw inside a mouth-shaped mountain, singing and chanting music with a girl sitting next to it. "I cannot believe." Nora began crying with happiness without stopping, staring at the magic box. "Now is my turn." The mom tried to distract her by giving her a small red pack. Nora unwrapped the packet until a tiny oracle jumped on her hand. "My name is Destiny, the short life oracle." Destiny had a short life because it lived only 24 hours after confessing the destiny of a human being. "You soon will fall in love with a guy that will die sacrificing for you, until both become the legend of the mountain." After listening carefully, Nora, surprised, did not move or breathe for a while. The oracle turned its head, looking full of compassion to the parents because they were very impressed by its words. Meanwhile, Rena approached them to listen more, wanting to try her chance with the tiny oracle. It was the first time she saw an oracle in her life, even though knew much of them. The oracles lived in a small village on the mountain of Elba, but only powerful, courageous people reached to meet them. Suddenly, the tiny oracle jumped from Nora's hand, ran to the main door, and then vanished into the garden. The whole family sitting on the table thoughtfully ended the breakfast listening to the music box. Usually Nora spent the day playing with animals or walking in the mountains. She was climbing careless on the left side when suddenly a strange noise was heard, like someone was fighting against something. Approached to see its origin, jumped some meters when saw a guy pulling a cart full of wood. A young guy kept cutting the wood on the mountain to prepare for a hard, long winter. When the scene had been completed, Nora felt awful about the end of the trees. So without thinking twice, she immediately faced the young guy. He stuck for a moment when found himself face to face with the most beautiful girl ever seen. No words, no moves, no smiles. Just staring deeply until the sights touched their hearts. Both fell in love. Ever since they met every day on the mountain, went to the mouth, and spent many hours listening most beautiful stories from the deepest of the past. Time passed this way until one day, Nora's parents heard rumors about the guy she had fallen in love with. People said he was very poor, and not appropriate to get married to the rich girl. The young lovers suffered very much about this, even though to leave the village or stay forever on the mountain. Angry and full of prejudices, Nora's father was proud and never thought to let his little girl marry the poor guy. He tried anything to separate and subjugate the daughter until breaking up this crazy relationship. Inhabitants said severe things about him, so to stop the rumors, one day decided to meet the guy only for one condition. The one who would climb the top of the mountain holding his daughter on the back would marry her. When the young couple heard the condition, could not believe such a chance, so accepted immediately, full of joy. Nora and the guy embraced happily before the climbing, while the inhabitants were watching carefully the challenge of the young couple. The mountain ridge was the steepest ever, and very difficult to handle, so the guy started sweating, breathing hard, while the girl whispered words of love in his ears to relieve fatigue. At the moment they reached the top of the mountain, the guy cried with happiness. He had just realized the dream of life. But in a second his body pulled down while his weak heart stopped beating forever. Nora thought he was lying about happiness, but soon a sorrowful feeling spread inside. A long scream coming from the mountain trembled the trees, bears, rabbits, and village inhabitants. Nora turned her body and started walking in the forest, toward the mouth of the mountain, pulling the guy's body until both jumped into the mouth of darkness. Since that time, the mountain closed its mouth and never talked anymore. Inhabitants named it the Maiden's Mountain. If you ever pass by, will have the chance to see its mouth, has still the scent of fresh love.